I'm here today to try to explain what in the shit is going on with Facebook and the firestorm that is going on in their world with a bunch of different pieces of news that have been rolling out over the last couple of weeks. If you've been thinking, how is this going to impact me as a business owner? Am I supposed to be still advertising on Facebook? What's going to happen to my posts? Then this is a pretty good video for you to watch. So that you can catch up on what's going on, and I provide a little bit of advice on what I think or how I think you should be reacting to it. So let's just jump right into it. So the big news is that Unilever is threatening to pull out advertising dollars from Facebook. Google as well, but maybe we'll do a different article on that. That has to do with YouTube. There's a lot of firestorm going on with YouTube and its creators and getting demonetized and all that stuff, but Facebook is really the hot topic right now. So Unilever, they're a pretty big brand. They command brands like Dove, Hellmann's, a lot of like ice cream brands, Ben and Jerry's, these type of brands. And they're saying, hey, you know what? If you're not going to clean up your act, according to CNN here, we're going to pull out the ads. I don't think CNN does a good job with this information. I think they kind of make it a little bit clickbaity, a little bit spammy. But I did pull up this article just because the news made CNN. It's kind of that big of a thing. So. I actually use a BBC article as I think they have a good source of information on here. So let's go through this. Unilever threatens to pull ads from Facebook and Google. So why is that? What's going on? Keith Weed, who's the representative from Unilever, says we cannot have an environment where our consumers don't trust what they see online. I think he's referring to maybe some of the fake news kind of stuff that's been going on around there, and kind of the scams that are online as well. He also says that it's acutely clear from the groundswell of consumer voices over recent months that people are becoming increasingly concerned about the impact of digital on well-being, on democracy, on truth itself. Very noble to be said that way, I guess. This is not something that can be brushed aside or ignored. Unilever has pledged to not invest in platforms that do not protect children or create division in society, to only invest in platforms that make a positive contribution to society, to tackle gender stereotypes in advertising, and only partner with companies creating a responsible digital infrastructure. So what I'm able to gather here is that the folks over at Unilever are thinking that Facebook just isn't doing a good enough job with that. And this isn't super surprising coming from Unilever, considering what has been going on in their world. So I mentioned earlier, let's look at a couple examples. So I mentioned earlier that Dove is one of the big brands for Unilever. It's one of their biggest brands. And Dove got a lot of praise a few years ago about an ad campaign they ran about the Real Beauty campaign. They got praise. I studied this in marketing school, right? Towards the end of my marketing school time, this was talked about, that this was like awesome. They're breaking down barriers and kind of this social equality thing, and it's working. Like traditional beauty stereotypes out the window. Dove is doing new things. So that's kind of where that brand comes from, and I think a lot of that probably stems from Unilever and their methodology or their mission, right? However, just recently, they were in the news again for inequality stuff, but they got bashed. So they ran this ad, where this, African American girl, lifts up her shirt and it's a white girl underneath. And I think they're trying to say something along the lines of, it's real beauty, it's whatever. What matters is what's on the side. It doesn't matter what your skin type is. The soap is good for you, right? Like I guess that's the product, is that the soap works for any skin type, but they're also trying to walk this line of inner beauty or whatever. Well, Twitter and everybody had a storm about this, about an African American girl becoming a white girl or something like that. So hate on Unilever as a brand. So I think that there's so much hate that they had to apologize. Dove had to apologize, and they probably saw an impact on their stocks and their bottom line, all this type of stuff. So I think some of that has to do with their pledge here about creating division and all this type of stuff. They kind of have to react that way. So what does this mean for Facebook, and what does this mean for us? I don't think that Unilever is going to pull out their ad dollars. I mean, 73% of ad revenue or ad spend in digital is in Google and Facebook. So where the hell are they going to go? Like, they're going to pull their ad dollars out? Where? Where are they going to spend them? Because this is where you're spending money if you're advertising digitally. So I think what they're trying to do is try to, curve it in some way, and I think they may have an impact on it. If Facebook wants to keep those ad dollars, then they're going to continue to kind of cater to what Unilever does. I think where this impacts smaller businesses is that when you think about how Facebook has to do this and how they have to regulate what's online, they have to write some type of code in the algorithm. And the algorithm is really a machine that says, if this scenario exists, flag it or pull it down, right? So what language are they going to use to determine what is a positive contribution to society and what isn't? What's creating division? Is it controversial? Like, how are they going to determine that? And we'll see that roll out over the next couple of months. Some dangers to this, I'll give you another example, is that a couple weeks ago, Facebook was in the news again about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So they ban ads for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies on Facebook, like Litecoin. There's a lot of ICOs that came out in the cryptocurrency world, and they were being advertised on Facebook, and apparently there was a lot of scams. So I think that's a good reason to say, hey, you know what, we need to curve that. We don't want all these people trying to scam people and rip them off. But a personal example of mine is that I have a client who's a financial advisor, and he had an article about talking about the dangers of alternative investments like Bitcoin and cannabis and these other things. And we tried to run an ad. It was just a promoted post on an article. It's a blog article. We just put some money behind it to have it just kind of reach out a few more people, which, by the way, you can't get any reach without spending money on Facebook. It just doesn't happen for most people. I mean, sometimes you get a viral post that works, but that's like striking gold and you can't plan for that. So really you have to put money behind it. Well, we put money behind this ad that mentioned Bitcoin, and because of that, it got flagged and disapproved. And fine, it says Bitcoin, it gets disapproved. I submitted an appeal and said, look, this article isn't about a Bitcoin. It's not about investing in Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. In fact, it's about the dangers of doing so and what you should watch out for. And probably received the fastest reply to an appeal ever. Blocked, can't do it. So right now, in response to these, Bitcoin scares and cryptocurrency scares, Facebook's algorithm is super, intense. So if you're talking anything about Bitcoin, a financial advisor, anybody, even if you're saying the dangers of it, you're getting flagged and getting blocked. So where I think that could impact, again, back to these things, is how is that going to impact what we say? If you're a salon and you're running an ad about women, are you going to be flagged for gender stereotypes or men or a gym or whatever, right? Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully they work together and they find a way to make that work well, especially because a lot of other people are trying to advertise, and hopefully Unilever isn't the determiner of the rest of us, but we'll find out. So, okay, so more news with Facebook. Let's go ahead and mute that mute that ding so you guys don't get any more. But okay, so a bunch of articles come out yesterday about this, and it's kind of intense. You'll see in a second. But so Facebook is losing young users even faster than Snapchat. Posted on February 12th, Monday. USA Today posts about this. The Guardian is Facebook for old people. Over 55s flock in as young leave. CNBC, Facebook is losing younger users to Snapchat. The Mercury News, Facebook losing millions of young users, research firm says. More stuff. Facebook lost 2.8 million users under the age of 25 last year. And Recode is actually one of the only ones that sources this information. Everyone else is like, they're losing things. No source on the article. So it's like, all right, how am I even supposed to verify this? However, Recode sources an article back from August 2017. I think what the article that all these people are sourcing is this one by Emarketer. And this is the actual thing that came out on February 12th about Facebook losing younger users. And the reason I'm laughing about this, guys, is because anytime there's mention of Facebook losing users or the algorithm changing, the flippin' memes that come out about it's not really memes, but it's articles about Facebook is dead, it's over, we need to find a new platform, it's burn it all. Like I always laugh, like brace yourselves, Facebook death posts are coming. Right? But do I think it's the death of Facebook? Absolutely not. But let's take a look at what this article says, and then we'll talk about how I think this is going to impact the Facebook advertising world. So, all right. So, Emarketer, let's see what you have to say. This year, for the first time, less than half of U.S. internet users ages 12 to 17 will use Facebook via any device at least once per month. So less than half, for the first time ever, of this age group is going to use it at least once per month. Let's continue. Facebook is still adding monthly users overall, but older age groups are mainly responsible for this. The number of total Facebook users in the U.S. will reach 169.5 million this year, up just 1% from 2017. Meanwhile, Facebook's proportion of social network users accessing the platform will continue to decline over the forecasting period. So this is big. Facebook is saying, or Emarketer, they've done some research and they say, look, the growth is kind of slowed for Facebook overall, and it's decreased for this age group. Let's continue. This is some good information. So in 2018, the number of U.S. Facebook users ages 11 and younger will decline by 9.3%. Additionally, the number of users ages 12 to 17 and 18 to 24 will decrease by 5.6% and 5.8% respectively. This is the first time Emarketer has predicted a decline in the number of U.S. Facebook users in those age groups. So again, this is pretty impactful that the younger demographic, 24 and younger, is leaving Facebook. And to Emarketer's credit, I'm going to flip over to an article they had from 2017. This is in August in 2017, and they kind of predict this back then. So they say this is the first time they've actually predicted it, but I think that if you look at this stuff from 2017, from the data they pulled in August of 2017, they kind of say this, that look, usage estimates for monthly Facebook users ages 12 to 17, 18, 24, is reducing. But anyways, I guess it's official now that it's 2018, and this is actual information that comes out. So what else is going on? Let's see if there's more data here. Facebook will lose 2 million users ages 24 and younger this year. 2 million people, Emarketer estimates. But not all of those users are migrating to Instagram. For example, Emarketer predicts Instagram will add 1.6 million users ages 24 and younger. Snapchat, meanwhile, will add 1.9 million users in that age group. Snapchat will continue to have more users ages 12 to 24 compared with that of Instagram. Okay, so they're leaving Facebook, but they're on Instagram and Snapchat. Snapchat is apparently going to have a higher volume of users. However, or it's going to increase volume of users faster that way. But this is important. However, Instagram overall is still bigger in the US than Snapchat. The number of Instagram users will total 104.7 million in 2018, up 13.1% year over year. Snapchat, meanwhile, will see its user base increase by 9.3%, 86.5 million. So the key distinction to make there is that younger demographic seems to be increasing faster on Snapchat than that of Instagram. However, Instagram still holds more people than Snapchat overall, and it's increasing overall, even outside of that age group, at a faster rate. Deborah Williamson, who's the Emarketer principal analyst, has a comment here that I think is pretty relevant. Snapchat could eventually experience more growth in older age groups since it's redesigning its platform to be easier to use. She goes on to say the question will be whether younger users will still find Snapchat cool if more of their parents and grandparents are on it. This is the predicament Facebook is in, and it is a predicament for Facebook. This part's kind of funny because about the Snapchat could eventually be better for older people. Well, Snapchat is trying, but I think they're not doing a good job right now, because the backlash over these updates that have come out for the new Snapchat is bad. I mean, there's like Twitter, everyone's blown up about it, that it's terrible. I haven't really had a chance to play with it a whole lot, so I don't have a quite opinion on it. I just know that a lot of people out there are hating on it. A lot of people that I know, good colleagues, are hating on it. They use it all the time. So we'll see. There's actually a petition on it with 500,000 signatures saying change it back to the old way. And Snapchat has to make a decision on whether or not they're going to stick to the younger demographic and be that, or they're going to try to bring on this older demographic. Maybe they can take a lesson from Facebook, that Facebook is kind of catered to that older demographic, and as a result they're losing the younger demographic. On the same note, Facebook owns Instagram, and you can advertise through Instagram on Facebook. So Facebook, I think, is in a better position here because they have both audiences, right? Like if Facebook.com is actually going to continue to be a platform for people over the age of 24, which it seems to be that way for at least the next foreseeable few years or foreseeable future, and Instagram is going to appeal to younger people, Facebook's ultimately in a better position. You have the younger people on Instagram, you have the older people on Facebook. Keep them separate. A big criticism that has always been of Facebook, and this is what Deborah alludes to, is that people have said that kids don't want their grandma on the social media platform that they're on. They're posting, they want privacy, whatever, right? I think that Facebook has an opportunity to attack both sides of that or serve both market spaces well by keeping the two separate, segmenting them in a way. Snapchat, on the other hand, I don't know if they really should be targeting that older demographic as hard as they should. Maybe they should stick to the younger. That's where they're going to make the most ground up, or they're going to make the most market share up. They're already winning in that market share. They should appeal to that audience, double down on it, and win in that audience, and then move from there. Maybe you can win those as those users get older. You play the long game, you keep them somehow, or you develop another thing that's kind of like the relationship that Facebook and Instagram have. Final note on this, when it comes to advertising for you, I think that you should totally still be advertising on Facebook and Instagram. If you're advertising to older people, and I mean older as in over the age of 24, Facebook is still a very good platform. It's still a good platform for, the younger people too, because they're still on it. That growth is declining, or the amount of people is declining, but there's still people there to some degree. But I think that if you're really trying to focus on that younger demographic, use the Facebook ad manager and target Instagram, right? Make your shit, applicable to Instagram for the people under the age of 24. If you're a nightclub, you best be on Instagram, right? Maybe, Facebook isn't your spot. But if you're a financial advisor, you're, a salon, you're some of these other things, Facebook is an excellent spot for you to be on. Snapchat, should you be advertising on Snapchat? You have to have some skills to be able to advertise on Snapchat. You have to be able to do a little bit of graphic design so that you can design filters, to really make that work. I think that they have a lot of ground to make up as an advertising platform, especially because Facebook and Instagram are so good that to really get people advertising on that platform, it needs to be a little bit more developed. If you have the skill set, to go on Snapchat and be able to create the type of graphical stuff that needs to be on there, then definitely use it. Also, if you're in a populated area, Snapchat may be an avenue for you to gain some market share. If your competitors are really killing it on Instagram, maybe Snapchat is where they're weak and you can attack that. But you have to really survey the market, understand who your consumer is, what they're paying attention to. Is it Snapchat? Is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? And then designing campaigns to fit that. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to message me. I'm happy to talk about this more. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and we'll see what happens with Facebook. Maybe we'll have another interesting bit of news to come out here in the next couple weeks. But thanks, and have a good week.